Working now. Hare Krishna. So this is, let me go ahead and start video. This is our 19th session in speaking about, the 19th verses, I should say. Speaking about Guru Maharaj's Chaitanya Charitamrita Mangala Charna. And this is a very interesting verse which we'd like to go over tonight. Very interesting and very special. Maybe I can put this on the screen. Gauranga bhaja. Bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gaurangera namare, jejana gauranga bhaje, se hoy amara pranare. This is our verse we want to speak something about tonight. We'll go ahead and say a few prayers to begin. Gauragraganya gana gocha goloruharam, gauranga gudatama gopyara kopa briksham. Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshika Varam Satatam Namami Uttama Adama Kichuna Bachila Jachi Adile Kakola Kahe Premananda Hemona Gauranga Hridoya Dadiya Bola Bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gaurangera namare, jai jana gauranga bhaje, se hoy amara pranare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Yashaiva Padambuja Bhakti Laga, Prema Bidana Parama Pumata, Tasmai Jagan Mangala Mangalaya, Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste, Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste, Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Have you asked me something? Oh, Krishna. The hot season's coming here now, and our blue tack fails sometimes, and pictures just fall off the wall. Hare Krishna, Ujjvala Rasa again. Nice to see you're here. So, I'd like to take you to a little bit of a lecture from Srila Prabhupada where he speaks about this verse. This is on the 7th of March 1974 in Mayapur. It's a lecture he gave on Chaitanya Charitamrita. And why don't, let's see, Lila Purushottambu, do you want to read?
Yes.
Can you move over some?
There on the screen?
Can you just move over some? Yeah, go ahead. Can you see it?
Yes, yes. Srila Prabhupada CC lecture Mayapur 7 March 1974. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in his 5 different features, therefore the Acharyas, they worship all of them at a time. That is our prayer. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda. This is the varieties, transcendental varieties, different taste. Tattva, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sevya Tattva. The Guru is teaching, Nityananda Prabhu is teaching how to worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gaurangera naam. Gauranga, say amar pranare. This is Nityananda Prabhu's business. Narottam Das Thakur says that Gaurangera bolite habe pulaka sharira, hari hari bolite nayane bhavanir. Gauranga. in ecstasy of transcendental love. We chant this Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, it is easier. There is no offense in chanting this Panchatattva, but there is offense if you do not properly chant Hare Krishna mantra. There are 10 kinds of offenses, you know. In chanting Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, there is no aparadha. Way you'll get the result. This is the difference. But there is no difference by chanting Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda and Hare Krishna mantra, Maha mantra. But still, by chanting this Panchatattva, you'll get immediate result. Therefore, our process is to chant the holy names of the Panchatattva, and then we chant Hare Krishna Maha mantra. The taste is called rasa mas, rasa mas, and we don't manufacture anything. Just
You're really going in and out. I don't know about for everybody else, but I could hardly hear you most of the time. Yeah, but I was reading at the same time, so I figured it was okay. So Srila Prabhupada brings up some really interesting points, and how important it is to worship the Panchatattva. Prabhupada begins by mentioning that Mahaprabhu appeared in 5 different features, and therefore the Acharyas say we should worship them all at one time. That is our prayer. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. And then he mentions how Nityananda Prabhu is Guru Tattva and Mahaprabhu is Sevya Tattva. And Nityananda Prabhu as Guru is teaching us how to worship Mahaprabhu. And therefore he gives this verse. Now, a couple things about this verse. This verse, my Guru Maharaj sometimes cites this as being written by Premananda Prabhu. He's not giving like a scholarly comment on it or something. I don't think there's any evidence that this verse was written by or even quoted by Premananda Das. However, a lot of devotees, they ascribe it to Nityananda Prabhu, as Srila Prabhupada is doing here. Again, I've done some research on this, and I'm not saying it's impossible, but I haven't seen any pramana to support that this was spoken by Nityananda Prabhu. This verse, bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, like that. But Srila Prabhupada mentions it like this. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj mentions it. My Guru Maharaj speaks about it. Many, many Vaishnavas, they speak about this thing. So my personal conclusion, which I'd like to take on a little journey with today, is this is the mood of Nityananda Prabhu, and we see it in Madhya Lila chapter 1 of Chaitanya Charitamrita, some very similar statements from Nityananda Prabhu. So some other questions come up with this verse, as we've presented many times in the past. Our process is chanting Hare Krishna. Our process is, that's our main focus, I should say, is chanting Hare Krishna. But as Srila Prabhupada is saying here, we should chant the Panchatattva mantra and we should worship Gaur Nitai. But he puts it in a very nice way, very perfect way. He says that our process is to chant the holy names of the Panchatattva and then we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That's perfect. He says we don't manufacture anything, we just follow. Our main chanting, obviously, is the Hare Krishna mantra. Why isn't it the Gaura mantra? And what is it that we find in this particular mantra here? There's a beautiful lecture that I came across from Niranjan Maharaj that I'd like to read you some excerpts from, where he was speaking also about this bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, and gives a very interesting perspective about it. He says that Mahaprabhu, just a second. He said that Mahaprabhu ordered Nityananda Prabhu to go and preach. And then Nityananda Prabhu displayed his pastimes of traveling all over West Bengal and inducing all the conditioned souls to take up the worship of Gauranga. So he was given this order by Mahaprabhu that he should go out and tell everyone he met to chant Krishna's name and make Krishna their life. But he says Nityananda could not fully take up that order because he was more inclined to tell everybody, bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gauranga, or namin. Just worship gauranga, bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, always speak about gauranga, laha gauranga, or namare. You should worship gauranga, speak about gauranga, take the name of gauranga. And anyone who does that is more dear to me than my own life. And Maharaj comments, he says, of course, gauranga is Krishna. However, Nityananda has a very confidential service. And if one wants to be able to approach Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, first they have to get the mercy of Nityananda. And he cites this, a couple lines from Narottam Das Thakur's song from Prarthana. Are kabi nitya chande karuna koribi, sangsara basana mora kabi tucha habi. That when will Nityananda Prabhu have mercy on me, then sangsara basana mora kabi tucha habi. Then my material desires they'll go away, they'll become very small. Vishaya chadiya kabi sudha habiman. And when my mind's cleansed of all that vishaya, that material dirt, then kabi hama herabo shri Vrindavan. Then I'll be able to realize Vrindavan. So Maharaj comments, he says that when we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda, then we become free from the desire for sense gratification. Unless we're free from material desires, it's not possible to understand Vrindavan Dham or the conjugal pastimes of Radha Krishna. Therefore, it's understood that Lord Nityananda is the original spiritual master, as he does the cleaning work. That's how Maharaj puts it. He does the cleaning work and makes one qualified to enter Vrindavan Dham. The bona fide spiritual master is also understood to be the representative of Lord Nityananda. For the inner circle of devotees, those who enter into Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan and assist the Lord in his conjugal pastimes, their guru is Srimati Radharani. She's guru because she trains up the devotees in their loving service to assist the gopis in pleasing Lord Krishna. I think perhaps Naranjan Maharaj, who was very fond of hearing our Guru Maharaj's kathas, is paraphrasing our Guru Maharaj, where Guru Maharaj would say quite often that Guru is Radha Priya Sakhi or Nityananda Priyajana. He's an intimate associate of Srimati Radharani or of Nityananda Prabhu. He's both. Guru has two aspects. So Maharaj is explaining something about this. Radharani is Guru because she trains up the devotees in their loving service to assist the gopis in pleasing Lord Krishna. Nobody can serve Krishna better than Radharani. She knows how to give Krishna pleasure. Although she's the guru for this inner circle of associates of the Lord in his pastimes in Vrindavan, she will only accept those persons who are recommended to her by Lord Nityananda. Thus they work together. When Lord Nityananda certifies one as being free from material desires and is a fit candidate for recommendation to Radharani, it is due to his manifestation of mercy by having cleansed these desires from our heart. So we want to approach Radha Krishna, but it's not such an easy thing to approach Radha Krishna. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami he describes Hridaya Darai Je Chaitanya Nityananda Aishava Siddhanta Se Paibe Ananda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Someone who's Hridaya Dharaye, Chaitanya Nityananda, who's captured Chaitanya and Nityananda in their heart. And this is our subject today. Why Nityananda Prabhu is speaking, why this verse is accredited to Nityananda Prabhu, at least his mood. Why is he speaking bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gauranga, and amir? Why not tell people to chant Hare Krishna? Maybe it's better to chant Gauranga's name, or maybe it's something we do later. How do we understand it? So anyway, Kaviraj Goswami here is saying that if someone's captured in their heart Chaitanya and Nityananda, then Aishava Siddhanta Se Paiva Ananda, then they'll understand all Siddhanta and they'll get intimate ecstasy. Because to understand that Siddhanta, we have to have some ecstasy. It's an obvious thing. Even in the material world, if you want to understand a girl, right? That's the crux of the material world. To try to understand a girl or a boy. You can't do it by reading a book. You can write a book about someone and read the book, but you don't understand them unless you have an intimate relationship with them, unless you have love for them. Bhakyamama vijanati, yavanyash chasmi tatvataha. Krishna says this unequivocally in the Bhagavad Gita. So then Kaviraj Goswami goes on to say, Eshabha siddhanta hoy amyara palava Bhaktagana kokilera saivadavalabha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Hare Ram. He says this Siddhanta, and we're not just talking about information content, but we're talking about Prem Bhakti. We're talking about the Siddhanta, that Bhakti Siddhanta. Eshabha Siddhanta, all this Siddhanta, ahoy Amrara Palava. It's like Amrara means mango. And the mango has some palava, some newly grown twigs. And they're very, very soft, and they're little reddish colored. Bhaktagana kokila sarvadavalava. So sarvadavalava, this is always pleasing to the Bhaktagana, who are just like kokilas, who are just like cuckoo birds. And they're relishing those mango sprouts. Bhakta ustreda ite nahoya pravesa tabichite hoya mora ananda vishena Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram Hare. He says, Bhakta ustreda. Those persons who are abhaktas, who are not devotees, they're like ustreda. What's an ustreda? Ustreda is like a camel. They're just like camels. What is the nature of a camel? They don't know nice food stuff. They like to eat thorns. Why do they like to eat thorns? There's not so much taste in the thorns, but the pleasure is it makes your mouth bleed. And then the camel starts taking its own blood and thinking, this is very, very nice. So the abhaktas, they're like camels, and ite nahoi praveshi. They can't enter into this topic. Tabe chitte hoi mora ananda vishena. They can't enter, and they can't get ananda. They can't get happiness and be able to enter into the subject matter. So this is a very important principle, and Nityananda Prabhu saw that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent him to West Bengal. You go and you preach. But he looks around and he sees everybody's completely useless. Our Guru Maharaj told a story once that once there was a guru who told his disciple that I want you to go. You can turn the fan up over you if you want, Krishna, when she looks hot. If you like, it doesn't bother me. Our Guru Maharaj told a story once. One guru told his disciple to go and collect some firewood. And yes, Gurudev, but the Guru said, but you're going to only collect firewood from someone who's actually a human being. And then his Guru gave him some special glasses, kind of like these here. And he said, you put these glasses on. Yeah. Krishna Kun's impressed with my glasses. You put these glasses on, and they're magical glasses, and they'll enable you to see who's actually a human being and who's not. And so that disciple went out, and he was gone for a long, long time. And he came back finally, and he said, Guru Maharaj, I went to one village, I searched through the whole village, I didn't find one human being. I went to another village, not one. I searched finally through 5 or 6 villages, and I found one person who's actually a human being. We should understand this principle. It's important. Abhakta ustrada iti nahoi pravesh. That for the abhaktas, for the non-devotees, they're like camels. We don't hate them, we love them. We want to help them. But they can't enter into this subject matter. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, because they can't understand the subject matter, we have to give them something else. And Nityananda Prabhu, understanding that, he came and he saw he wasn't satisfied just speaking about Krishna. Now how can he not be satisfied speaking about Krishna? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructed in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. We often quote those verses. When Mahaprabhu was taking sannyas in Katwa, he instructed the devotees. Bala Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Gao Krishna Nam. Krishna Binu Keha Kichu Nabhaviya Ame. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. He said, Bala Krishna, chant Krishna's name. Bhaja Krishna, worship Krishna. Gao Krishna Nam, take shelter of Krishna's name. Krishna Binu Keha Kichu. You should understand, don't think of anything other than Krishna. Nabhaviya An. Only think of Krishna. And then he tells them, this verse that Guru Maharaj used to sometimes quote, Jadiyama Prati Sneha Taki Sabakar Tabe Krishna Vyati Rikta Nagahi Veyar. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Mahaprabhu said, if you love me, you love my instructions. Jari ama prati sneha take sabakar. If you love me, you love my instruction. Don't chant my name. Don't chant any other names other than Krishna. So what does it mean then when Nityananda Prabhu is coming and singing bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gauranga, nama re? How do we understand that? In Madhya Lila chapter 1 of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami speaks something about the very intimate relationship between Gaura and Nittai and what is the mood of each. Chaitanya Gosai Janya Bhole Bhorobai Teho Kahe Mora Prabhu Chaitanya Gosai Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare that Chaitanya Gosai, he used to say Bole Bodobai. He would address Nityananda Prabhu as Bodobai, my big brother. But Nityananda Prabhu Tinakahi, he would say Mora Prabhu Chaitanya Gosai. That Nityananda Prabhu, he would say, Mahaprabhu, you're my Lord. You're my everything. Japi apani hoy Prabhu Balaram Tatapi Chaitanya Rakore Das Abhiman. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Jajapriya apani hoy Prabhu Balaram. That Nityananda Prabhu is none other than Balaram, but still Tatapi, in spite of that, Chaitanya Kore Das Abhiman. He has this attitude, Ami Das Abhiman. He has this Abhiman, this mentality that I'm a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what is his mood when he's thinking? Kaviraj Goswami says the following. So let's remember, okay? Bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gaurangera namare, jai jana gauranga bhaje, se hoy amara pranare. So let me put this verse on the screen. This is the verse of the day. Hare Krishna Radhajivan Prabhu, nice to see you here. Yeah, Jai Gaur told me that you guys are all down in Atlanta. You're really fortunate souls. Okay, so let's look at this verse. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 1, text 29. This is the mood of Nityananda Prabhu. Chaitanya Seva, Chaitanya Gaulao, Chaitanya Nam, Chaitanya Jai Bhakta Kori Se Mora Pran. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Chaitanya Seva, He's saying you should worship, serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Gao, you should chant Mahaprabhu's names. Chaitanya Nam. Chaitanya Ye Bhakti Kori. He says anybody who has devotion, anybody who worships Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, say Mora Pran. That person is my life. This is the same point. Bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gaurangera namare, jai jana gauranga bhaje, say hoy amara pranare. Chaitanya seva, Chaitanya gao, Lord Chaitanya nam, Chaitanya jai bhakta kori, say mora pran. But instead of saying Gauranga, it's saying Chaitanya. But basically these two verses are practically the same. So my theory, why many devotees attribute this verse, Bhaja Gauranga Kaha Gauranga, to Nityananda Prabhu is because of this particular verse of CC Madhya 129, which is paraphrasing this point. And everyone accepts that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he understands the mood of Nityananda Prabhu. So then, Kaviraj Goswami explains more about this mood of Nityananda Prabhu that we just heard. Ahimata loke Chaitanya bhakti loyalaila, dina hina nindaka sabari nishtarila, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Mata loke. And this way he took this mata. Mata means the understanding, the attitude. And mata loke Chaitanya Bhakti Loyala. He made everyone accept Gaura Bhakti, Chaitanya Bhakti. Dina hina nindaka sabare nistarila. Even those persons who were camels, who were dina hina, who were very fallen, poor souls, who were nindakas, who were criticizers and doing Vaishnava aparat, sabare nistarila. He delivered everyone. So this is the mood of Nityananda Prabhu, and this is why this verse is attributed to him. But we should understand this in a deep way, not in a shallow way. Nitai Mahaprabhu comes as an elder brother, and he's older by age, but we can also say that he's older, he's senior by his duty or by his service. He comes first before Mahaprabhu and he sets things up. Radha and Krishna, the divine couple, or Bhagavan, they can only come to some place where everything's been set up nicely. And therefore, as we often comment, before the Lord appears, the devotee comes and he sets the foundation. Srila Prabhupada first came to America, and when Prabhupada came to America, we knew, or someone could know, Krishna's also coming. And Krishna can't go there until the devotee is there. Just as Nrsingadev didn't just first appear, but Prahlad first appeared. And because Prahlad first appeared, then we knew Nrsingadev was also going to appear. So they come and they make the whole environment favorable for their appearance. And Nityananda Prabhu, he has a very, very special role in Gaura Leela. Nityananda Prabhu, he has a lot of expectations. He wants to meet with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and at the same time he wants to open up this treasure house of Krishna Prem with the beggars. And we're those beggars. Mahaprabhu breaks that treasure house, but who helps him to distribute those treasures? That's Nityananda Prabhu. So Nityananda Prabhu, he's on our side, and we need that. Nityananda Prabhu connects us to Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Nityananda Prabhu comes and he sees they're not ready simply to chant Hare Krishna. And therefore he gives us this prayer, Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gauranga, Namare. You take this mood, or in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, it's Kaviraj Goswami is saying, that you, Chaitanya Seva, Chaitanya Gaula, Chaitanya Nam, Chaitanya Ye Bhakti Kori Se Mura Pran. Anybody who worships Gauranga Mahaprabhu, that person is my life and soul. That means you're getting the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. So this is why we worship Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Not just to worship Gauranga Mahaprabhu, because Gauranga Mahaprabhu says, don't worship me. He says, don't chant my name. But we worship Gauranga Mahaprabhu because it pleases Nityananda Prabhu. And when we please Nityananda Prabhu, then we have some scope, we have some hope. So Radha and Krishna are coming, they're searching for each other. They're searching for each other in the Kunjas, and we hear about that in Govinda Lilamrita, when we read about Radha and Krishna, how Radha and Krishna are feeling so much separation for each other, and sometimes they're searching for each other in the Kunjas. This is Gaura Lila. Krishna's come as Lord Jagannath, and Radharani's come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when they're searching for each other. Jagannath is always looking. Rasanandi Radha Sadasa Vapara Lingana Sukha Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patadami Bhavatuni. He's always looking for Radharani. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always looking for Krishna. They're searching for each other. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's not just Radha and Krishna together, but there's something extra there. He's the ocean of mercy. But who is it that tells us that Mahaprabhu is here? That's Gurudev. That's Nityananda Prabhu. He's a personification of that thing. So he's coming. And it's not that when Mahaprabhu tells Nityananda Prabhu, you go and tell everybody about Krishna Nam, and then Nityananda Prabhu goes and starts telling everyone about Gauranga Mahaprabhu, that Nityananda is doing something wrong. It's not that he's a deviant or something. It's not that he's making Mahaprabhu angry. He's acting perfectly in synchronization with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although Mahaprabhu, his mood personally in bhajan is to chant Krishna's name. And when Mahaprabhu is taking sannyas, which is in the mood of Radha Bhav, especially at that time he stresses this thing, that everyone should chant the name of Krishna, don't chant any other name, don't chant my name, just chant the name of Krishna. And Nityananda Prabhu he's Adi Guru. And so Guru manifests in two features. One is Nityananda Prabhu and the other is Radha. And as Srila Prabhupada is describing in that lecture we were reading from earlier, that we have to have both. We don't just chant Krishna Nam. We don't just sit down and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. As we sometimes comment, to be a little bit controversial, I have to say something controversial, otherwise I'll start having some withdrawal symptoms or something. This chanting of the Panchatattva mantra before we chant each round was something which was added later. It wasn't given by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada never told the devotees to do that. He says that before we worship Radha and Krishna, before we chant Hare Krishna, we should chant the Panchatattva mantra. And we do that. But he doesn't say every time for each and every round. And devotee Bhakti Rupa Prabhu, who joined in 1972 or 74, he was telling me that when he joined, they never did that. They just chanted, they would chant the Panchatattva mantra once. They would chant Prabhupada's Prana mantra, then they chant the Panchatattva mantra, and then they would chant Hare Krishna, just all their japa. And that's still how he does today. That's how I do today. And it's not that there's anything wrong with chanting the Panchatattva mantra before each round. But it's not that it's absolutely required. It wasn't given by Srila Prabhupada. But what was given by Srila Prabhupada was the necessity of first worshipping the Panchatattva before we approach Radha Krishna. So who tells us that Mahaprabhu is here? That's Nityananda. That's his function. He's come to distribute something more. Mahaprabhu is distributing. He's inviting us into the Sankirtan movement. But Nityananda Prabhu, he's going door to door and doing that thing. He's going to all these people, Uttama, Adama, Kichina, Bachala, who are not qualified whatsoever. So Nityananda Prabhu had a special mood, as Narendra Maharaj was saying. He didn't preach generally about Krishna Nam, but he was preaching bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gauranga, nama re. He should worship Gauranga Mahaprabhu. That was his mood. He didn't want to glorify some far distant God like Krishna, but he wanted to glorify his God, his personal beloved Lord, who was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is Nityananda Prabhu. He's working for us. He's expanding his mercy through his representatives, through our Guru Janas. And this is the mercy sampradaya. We belong to that mercy sampradaya. Radharani is there. She makes it even more merciful. And their mercy is combined in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But that mercy is delivered to all of us by Nityananda Prabhu. And then by all the Gurus. So this is one of the main contributions of Nityananda Prabhu, that he didn't consider whether you're qualified or not qualified. He's ready, he'd go down, he'd fall down at the feet of the devotees and knock on everybody's door and just say, bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gauranga, nama re. We should feel very, very blessed to belong to this mercy sampradaya. This mercy sampradaya, this can heal our wounds if we take shelter of this mercy sampradaya. So this is one aspect of these. And as Narendra Maharaj was commenting very beautifully, and which is something our Guru Maharaj would say too, that without approaching Nityananda Prabhu, without pleasing him, we please Nityananda Prabhu by planning Gauranam. But without approaching Nityananda Prabhu, then we can't have access to Radharani. When Nityananda Prabhu sees that our hearts are free from material desires, then he brings us to Radharani. And that's the real mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, the highest mercy. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's described in the Madhya Lila chapter 8, there's a verse we sometimes quote, text 201. Radha Krishna Lila ati gudatar, dashavat salyari bhavi nahoy gochar, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That Radha, Krishna and Leela, ati gudatar. That the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, they're ati gudatar. They're very, very confidential. Dasya vatsalyadi, in the mellows of Dasya Ras, in the mellows of Vatsalya Ras, Sakya Ras, nahoy gochara. They can't be understood. Rather, sabi eka saki gana ihan adhikar. Only the gopis have the right to appreciate the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So if we get the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, then we can enter into Vrindavan. Then we can enter deeply into Gaura Lila. Because entering into Gaura Lila means that we see the associates of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, they're Gopi Janas. And without their blessings, we can't worship Radha and Krishna, even together as Gauranga Mahaprabhu. We'll see some aspect of them. And Nityananda was so very, very merciful that he's come to give this thing. But we should take the complete package and not just take part of the package. Oh, I'll just chant Nityananda Nam or Gaura Nam. That's okay. You'll get some blessing. But ultimately, to please Nityananda, it means we're going to please Mahaprabhu. Because Nityananda Prabhu is not pleased if Mahaprabhu is not pleased. And Mahaprabhu wants us to chant Krishna Nam. That's our primary meditation. So we take both. We do both together. We take the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu and we chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhaktivinoda, and then we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that's the best worship of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So it's a very, very subtle point. And by worshipping Mahaprabhu in this way, by chanting Hare Krishna, then that gives Nityananda Prabhu the most pleasure. Another meaning of Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gauranga, the Namare, can be that Bhaja Gauranga means you worship Gauranga. Well, how do you worship Gauranga? Mahaprabhu, he says that Nabhavihaan, don't worship anyone else other than Krishna. So Bhaja Gauranga means you should worship Gauranga. How do you worship Gauranga? We worship Gauranga by chanting Krishna Nam. We worship, we chant Gauranga's name and we don't see that as different from chanting Krishna's name. That's an introduction for us for chanting Krishna's name. But by itself, it's not complete. Just like some devotees who sometimes commented, they take it even a step further and they say, well, the real thing is you should chant Gurudev's name. because he's even more merciful than Nityananda Prabhu. But that's not going to please Gurudev. There's something better than chanting Gurudev's name, and that's pleasing Gurudev. There's something better than chanting Nityananda's name, or even chanting Gauranga's name, and that's pleasing Gauranga Mahaprabhu. But at the same time, we always worship Gurudev. And we can't forget Gurudev. And we always worship Nityananda when we chant Gauranam. Another point which I'll just leave off with, just to touch on, is that Nityananda Prabhu, according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur and different acharyas, he's a combined form. Just as Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahiyani, he's a combined form of Radha and Krishna. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur say also Nityananda Prabhu is a combined form. He's Balaram and he's a Nanga Manjari. A Nanga Manjari is the Shakti of Balaram, and Nanga Manjari is the younger sister of Srimati Radharani. So in that mood, Nityananda Prabhu is bringing persons to, as Balaram, he's bringing them closer to the Yuga Dharma. He's giving the strength, and he carries a plow. He's known as Haladar, and he plows the heart of the devotees. He takes away all the material desires and things. And as Narendra Maharaj is saying, that's his function, to purify the heart. But then when the heart is purified, in his mood, his Shakti is a Nanga Manjari, then something else happens also. So bhaja gauranga, kaha gauranga, laha gauranga, namare, jay jana gauranga bhaji, sehoy amara prana re. I want to stop there. I'm really trying to finish in the next 10 minutes. I made some promise because I realize, especially for Jai Gaura and Ujjwala Rasagya and some of the devotees in America, it's really not cool. We need to have a set time that we finish. And I want to try to finish by our time, by 7 o'clock. So anybody has any reflections or comments, this is your time right now. Natalia, do you have anything you want to share? Any reflections or anything?
Krishna. Yes, thank you very much. It is just very, very important to know the mood of everyone and to acknowledge, to be conscious of every shakti, of every devotee who is serving Lord and his mood. Just, once again, when we hear again and again, we learn how to be conscious about everybody's individual mood.
Nice. That's a nice one. That's the mood of our Gaudiya Sampradaya. That's the special quality of our Gaudiya Sampradaya. It's not ordinary love. It's not just like someone likes someone else because the girl's pretty or the boy's handsome or this or that. But it takes it a further step, our Gaudiya Sampradaya, to understand what is the mood of the Lord and the deep inner mood of him. So, thank you. Gwani Thai Prabhu, do you want to share anything?
So, as you at the end, but of course you started with that, but at the end
You're going in and out, Prabhuji. Can you speak slowly and clearly, maybe close to the mic? I don't know.
Yeah. So at the end, arrived to worship the Guru.
Uh-huh.
Today is my Gurudev's appearance day. Holiness Shivaram Swami Maharaj. So I would like to ask you to, and all the group to just to pray for his health and yes, nice mood. He's knowing you met with him. So today I was meditating how to worship him at least one day, the best way. So it's not one person service.
Can everybody hear Gwani Thai Prabhu okay? Lila Purushottam, can you hear him?
Not at all. Not at all. Very bad.
I've gotten a little bit of what you said, and I really appreciate it. Can I just make a reflection on what you just said? And maybe I've caught your point, maybe. He's just speaking about how important it is to worship our Gurudev. And he's just mentioned that the Krishna Kuni and I were fortunate enough to get a little association with Srila Shivaram Maharaj not so long ago in Mayapur. And Gauranitai Prabhu is asking us that everybody should please pray for his Guru Maharaj's health. And he's saying, well, we should think about how to please our Guru Maharaj. I'll tell you a little story about Shivaram Maharaj. It's not a big story, it's a common story. But once we were in New Brajadam, and Maharaj called us. He said, why don't you come to my house and we can have some discussion. Yes, Maharaj. So we're walking with him on the way to the house. And on the way there, I wanted to like be polite and loving and affectionate. So I said, Maharaj, how is your health? Is everything okay? And Shivaram Maharaj stopped. I said the wrong thing.
Not you too.
What's that?
Not you too.
He said, not you too. He said, why everybody asks me this all the time? Why don't they ask me about my bhajan? What kind of nonsense question is this? How is my body? How is my health? So, if we want to please Gurudev in the best way, we should understand his instructions. And Maharaj told me, he said, I want to speak about Krishna. I want to talk about Krishna Katha. I don't want to just talk about my health. And so he gave us a beautiful lesson. At the same time, though, Gauranitai Prabhu is also asking devotees to pray for his Guru Maharaj's health. And I'll argue, I'll be your advocate if you want your lawyer, if you want to go before Shivaram Maharaj with this, that it's also the right of the disciple. And the pramana is Jiva Goswami's Bhakti Sandarbha.
And Prabhupada's purport.
And Prabhupada's purport too, that we should serve the body of our Gurudev. And that's an important service. We should protect the body of our Gurudev. So the disciple has that right. And but at the same time, we want to please our Gurudev in the best way. It's a really important meditation. It's a point we make quite often. Did I catch what you meant, Gauranitai? Is that okay?
Yeah, 99%.
Oh, wow, you are much better now. We can hear you now.
So 1% more that as I understand, my Guru Maharaj is most happy when we chant together a nice, deep, long kirtan. And we remember, if he is not physically present, but still we remember on his kirtans, and we get the mood, and we keep that mood chanting together. So I think that's the best way to worship my Guru Maharaj, to come together and chant together.
Nice. Srila Prabhupada, I was reading a letter recently from him where he said something like this. He said that I'm getting old fast. I don't want to hear all these quarrels and things with the devotees. If you want to please me, then please cooperate together. And I know in the case of Shivaram Maharaj, I can say, and I can say in the case of practically every guru in our movement too, so many of them I've heard complain, it's like a knife in the heart. Especially when they see their disciples, devotees come to them, and they want to chant and everything's nice, and then they start working out projects and organization of things. And it's wonderful, and they start doing big projects and big preaching and lots of book distribution and building temples and things. But then all of a sudden, if politics creeps in and the devotees start quarreling and things, then it's just like a knife in the heart for them. It's so important. If we want to please Gurudev, we should cooperate. I found an interesting thing associating with different sadhus over the years, not extensive association, but meeting different sadhus over the years in India. And that is, contrary to what many of us think in ISKCON sometimes, they have great respect for Srila Prabhupada and also for our movement. Many of them, if they're an honest, simple sadhu. And one comment that I hear repeatedly from many of them is that they appreciate the Guru Bhakti, the Guru Nishta that we have for Srila Prabhupada. That appeals to them. We should have that. And we should not only have that for Srila Prabhupada, but we should have it for Prabhupada's representatives. Okay, let me go on. Radha Jivan Prabhu, are you there? Would you like to share anything, Radha Jivan Prabhu? Okay, how about Leela Purushottam Prabhu? Radha Jivan Prabhu is doing some seva for his Guru Maharaj in Atlanta now. You're also going in and out. If you can do some trick like Gauranitai Prabhu did, you have a little mic or something, you'd better.
Better now?
I don't know. That's only one where I can hear what you said.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you're kind of going in and out a little bit.
Strange. I always have a good sound and connection should
Now,
also.
now you sound better. I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, I really like this discussion with Gauranga and Prabhu and the last part about the cooperation, and then that's perfect. Now, I have one question because often we have this like discussions on pleasing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Krishna Nam, and I remember hearing a lot of Andhra Prabhu. He very often suggested
Not again, by the way.
again
I
that
don't- Yeah, that's better when you move forward.
Andhra Prabhu, he often suggested to us that we can chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with the conception of Gaura's Nam and Nityananda's Nam.
Uh-huh.
So I wonder because I'm I wonder about your
My take on that? Fakir Mamba used to do that. So, and he read to us a commentary from Bengali translated, which spoke about how. Let me think for a moment. Hare is Krishna, and Rama, it means Balaram or Nityananda Prabhu. And and Krishna means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It means Shri Krishna Chaitanya. In this explanation, and why not? Because the Maha Mantra, so many things may be there. It depends on the mood of a person. In Gora Leela, some devotees, they're more attached to the Gora side of things, and some are more attached to the Radha Krishna side of things. And as Bhaktivinoda comments, some have their foot in each. Acha. Acha. Thank you very much, Jaguar. I just read your comment here. Okay. Yeah, the fans going on. Now we got a sock for it. Nam Sankirtan Prabhu was kind, but so the best to me, that's the most attractive to me. And when we talk about this thing, it's not that one is necessarily best, or what is best is what's according to our particular heart. But I also like to know what is the mood of Rupa Goswami, and what is the mood of our acharyas. And for me, what is best is to follow Rupa Manjari, follow Rupa Goswami. And that's worshiping with Radha Krishna. But as we were mentioning earlier, we should do both. And you can't separate the two from each other. If we only chant Goranam, to me, my personal feeling is we chant Hare Krishna and we only think of it as Goranitai, that's okay. But I think there's something more also. I think that's nice. But I'd also like to see the Radha Krishna aspect added. And I really appreciated that lecture from Srila Prabhupada where he's saying that both things are required. That's my humble perspective on it. And I strongly suspected that Ayendra Prabhu wouldn't disagree with that either, knowing him a little bit.
Recommended. He spoke like that. He said that he recommends to anyone to spend half of their Nam Bhajan with the conception of being it Gaura's Nam, and the other half with the conception of chanting Radha Krishna Nam.
That's beautiful. That particular thing, I mean, you're asking me because, to be really blunt, some people will find that controversial. I know they will. But why should it be controversial? That's his particular mood, and it can be substantiated. The real point is, I think we should just relax and try and stop trying to have some absolute rule for everything, and just accept that different sadhus are going to, and those followers of that sadhu, their disciples, will take on the mood of their Gurudev. And that's perfect and that's beautiful. That's my humble thought.
That's what I'm learning in your association then. things doesn't have to necessarily be only black or white. And there is not only one proper answer. That sounds to our Western mind quite revolutionary. It's either yes or no. No. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. You mean in the Czech Republic, some of the devotees, they have this, there's a few of them have this attitude that it has to be an absolute rule for everything?
Yeah, you know it better than me. That's how I was grown up here.
But at the same time, that's necessary. You know, if you go to any city, you know, if you go to I don't know, New York City, what is it, the New York Mets, is it? I don't know the baseball teams and stuff, but they have some team there, and our team is the best team. And people use those teams to get people fired up. Just like we just had a yatra with a bunch of Russian-speaking devotees. And some were from Ukraine, and some were from Russia. And I got some complaints because one of the senior Russian devotees was going around telling the Ukrainian devotees, actually there's no war going on in Ukraine right now. It's a military mission that Mr. Putin is doing, and you'd all be better off if you just surrendered and come to Russia and leave Ukraine. he was speaking like that. So I don't, in one sense, what's wrong with that? Why not? We all have a right to some relative comments. You have a right to wear a red jacket. I have a right to wear a tan-colored shirt. You know, we all have a right to little different tastes in dress and prasadam and whatever. But our unity is there in bhakti. Our unity is there in Krishna consciousness. But then even within Krishna consciousness, there'll be some little differences too.
Well, I believe it's like natural development for us that in the beginning it's easy for us to have it black or white, Krishna or Maya, and only later we can accommodate the things like seeing everything in connection with Krishna, even our immediate Mayic surroundings, and like it just takes its time, I guess.
Well said. And even in the beginning, sometimes too, it's like only ISKCON is good, and all the Gaudiya Math are bad, and the Muslims, oh my God, you know, they're or the this or that. But it's necessary for neophytes. Neophytes not only need to think they're the best, they need to think that they have an enemy. And that's why when we talk about war, there's always going to be wars as long as there's neophyte people, because they're going to need to have some enemy. It goes on. As I understand, for adharma persons, we need preparation to enter into the worship bhaja of Sri Radha Krishna. How should we know if we're ready for Radha Krishna's worship or need more preparation? Is there any clear signs of being prepared? My humble understanding of that is that it just comes naturally, and that Srila Prabhupada gave us this in the very beginning. He gave it with Tulsi worship and things, but he gave it in a certain way. And he said that when we dress Radha Krishna, that we do them more in the kind of an opulent mood, like Lakshmi Narayan, except in New Brajadam. And I know Maharaj likes to dress Radha Krishna there. He dresses personally, and he likes to dress in a very sweet Vrindavan mood. But in general, in our movement, Prabhupada wanted that we approach Radha Krishna more as Lakshmi Narayan with lots of rules and regulations. But we do it through Gauranitai, and we have Gauranitai in all of our temples, and we approach Radha Krishna in that way simultaneously. It's not that we worship Gauranitai for so many years and now we can quit that, but we always want to worship Gauranitai, and we always want to worship Gauranitai Das. That's our program. Okay. And Jai Gaur Prabhu, do you have any reflections you want to share with us, Prabhu?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm going to mute myself again here. That was a great suggestion.
Yeah, I hope it worked. I just found the point interesting that, you know, I've heard it from you before, but that Guru is both a personality that's dear to Nityananda Prabhu and Srimati Radharani, and Nityananda Prabhu is actually like a really mysterious personality in some ways, because I'm always wondering about how he fits in with, everything, so that we can have like a complete conception of him. So I was just wondering if you could say a little bit more about how exactly Guru is a personality that fits both of those roles.
So we were mentioning one thing that Mahaprabhu, maybe you should mute yourself, Deborah, that Mahaprabhu is a combined form of Radha and Krishna, and he's giving so much mercy like that. But still, we need to get introduced to him. And that introduction comes from Nityananda Prabhu. That introduction comes by the Shakti of Nityananda Prabhu through Gurudev. But that aspect of introducing us doesn't stop there. It's not just that Gurudev introduces us to the idea of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he continues with us. Gurudev is always with us. Nityananda Prabhu, that Shakti should always be with us. And then we can go higher and we can come to Vrindavan. And we find that Nityananda Prabhu is there in Vrindavan also as Ananga Manjari with Radha and Krishna. And our Gurudev is also there as one of the Sakhi Manjaris assisting Ananga Manjari. That's my humble understanding in a short way, without getting in too much trouble. Okay. Krishna Kun, you want to share anything? Can I turn
I
the
was
camera on
struck.
you?
No, please don't.
Oh, okay.
I was struck by your point that this is why we worship Gauranga Mahaprabhu, just because Lord Nityananda likes it. Because otherwise, Jadiyami Padisneha, I heard
Daki
this verse
Sabakar.
Yes, I heard this verse from you so many times. Gurudev quotes it so many times. That if you love me, you love my instruction. That means you worship Krishna. You don't worship me. That's Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So I just like that. And I like your elaboration on how Lord Nityananda is on our side. And he understands how fallen we are and where we are at. And
Can you guys hear what Krishna Kun is saying? Yeah, okay, thumbs up. Good.
yeah, I think
It's just kind of like Krishna Kun, once you come over here for a second, you'll see something that'll make you very happy. It's just like I often tell Jai Gaura, if we just see Jai Gaura by himself, we're not very happy. But when we see Bana Biharni there, then we feel happy. Mm-hmm. So you should come and see who's sitting next to him. Bana, do you have any reflections? You want to share anything?
No, not so much today, but our friend Dayamaya is here and she had something she'd like to share.
Sure. Hare Krishna, Dharma. Nice to see you, Mataji.
Sorry, I get really nervous when I speak out loud, so it just kind of jumbled. But I really appreciated your class. There's like a few things that came up, and they're kind of like scattered thoughts, but maybe you could say something about it. There's something that I've heard that you've spoke before about how like we chant as like a service to Guru, and I guess, sorry, my mind is like completely blank, but I did take some notes, so. I was thinking of a few things like how we don't try to conceive of Krishna, we try to see him through our service, and so like Guru and Lord Nityananda are giving us this service to chant the holy names. And they're giving the conception and the understanding of who he is, so we can try to approach him by chanting the holy names. So that was one thing I was thinking about. And then this kind of like transcendental competition of how the devotees want to serve Krishna and Krishna wants to serve the devotees. Like I was thinking of, as you know, Lord Nityananda is giving us this, and Guru Maharaj is giving us this service to chant the holy names, and we can chant it as a service for them, but we're also serving Krishna by doing that service.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yeah, conception is so important. As you were saying, conception means bhakti. And we can see it. I often use the example of a young boy and girl because it helps us to understand something about our position with Krishna. That as a boy gets to know the girl, and any relationship, they sit down and they speak to each other for hours, and it's very fascinating because they like to hear about each other. and it's very fascinating because somebody's so fascinated by me. But the more that we hear about that girl, the more you can understand her. You have that conception. And that conception, that's the same process we have in bhakti. That we should hear about Krishna, and we should hear about Gurudev. We should try to understand the heart of Gurudev and what it is that he likes, what pleases him, what displeases him. And Tate Krishna Bhaji Kori Guru Sevan. Gurudev's not come to be worshipped. He's not come to be the deity. Neither is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But at the same time, Gurudev wants us to worship Gauranga Mahaprabhu. But our main focus of worship is Radha Krishna. And therefore Mahaprabhu is saying, Jadi Ama Pratisneya Taki Sabakar. We'll please Gurudev if we chant Krishna's name. And then it's not a cult. There's so many, I can tell you for a fact, any preacher experiences this thing. You can go certain places, and there are so many people who jump up and down and they say, all glories and this and that. But it's painful if they don't have an understanding of what it is that you're coming to speak. But when you speak something and they get what you're speaking about, and they don't just glorify you as a person, then you feel very, very happy. Now this person's really got it. And that person gets more mercy from Gurudev. So we should contemplate that. That's the nature of a loving relationship. You can just, the boy and the girl, you can just talk about, and she likes lipstick, and you can just talk about the way she decorates herself, and the cosmetics, and the dress, and whatever. But most girls, I hope, are going to feel that's pretty shallow. But when you talk a little more, and she likes poetry, and she likes the outdoors, and she likes people with a gentle heart, and when she sees that you understood her heart and her feelings, then she feels much, much happier. So let's not just talk about the lipstick and cosmetics of Gurudev. Let's talk about Gurudev's heart and try to understand him, which is chanting Krishna Nam. Okay? Thank you for taking part today. It's nice to see you. You live in Atlanta? Or are you just visiting also because Jayapataka Maharaj is there?
Yeah, I'm living in Ypsilanti.
That was the first temple I ever went to. And that's brilliant. The first deities I ever saw were Shushi Radhakant and Jagannath Bali having Gorni Tai. Special. Okay, thank you all very much. And Gorni Tai, will you send some pictures, something? Actually, I can open it up. Devotees can download it if they want. It's a picture of Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar in Mudha Vrindavan. Wow. Yeah, if you haven't visited New Brajadam, we have something wonderful to look forward to. Everybody should try to visit at least once in their life. So thank you all very much, and I think we'll be on schedule for next week. We'll see you the next Wednesday. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki, Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo, Vancha Kalpatarubhishcha, Kripa Sindhu Bhya Patitanam, Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.